let's leave it at that. The folks on Fox News, the fakers on Fox News who wrap themselves in the flag, if you think I'm the only one who sees what they're doing, you're mistaken. Listen to what Pastor David Manning has to say about the fake hosts on Fox News. And believe me, he's not too far from them. He has a church up in Harlem. Go, David. Let's hear it.
Hey, Hannity, why don't you have Michael Savage on? Just once a year. Just one time a year. Just have Michael Savage on one time a year. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because that's not what they want. They don't want the truth out there. They can't handle the truth. They don't want it out there. Bring back. Bring Michael Savage on.
I love it. You know, I'm not alone. I admit that I'm an outcast in the media. I admit it. But you know something? I think people are starting to catch on to the fact that there's something bigger here at play. There's even a black rap group that did a rap song that we found called Liberalism is a Mental Disorder. Beowulf, did you get that forwarded to you last night? Joe Farris sent it to me. Did you see that one from YouTube? Oh, we got to get that one ready. It's amazing. I happen to think that there's a whole mental revolution going on in America because I truly believe that black people know that liberals are their worst enemy. I absolutely, in my heart of hearts, believe that intelligent black people understand that liberals treat them as inferiors and only use them for their own purposes. And they're catching on to what's actually going on amongst some of us here in the United States of America. At the end of the day, I couldn't be happier. As I said to you yesterday, in the 5th grade, there was a class election in the Bronx, 4th or 5th grade. I won. I was made president of the class. Immediately, the teacher called the election off. She said, this election is canceled. Michael cannot be president. I don't like him. The election is called off. We're going to hold another election, and Michael Savage cannot run for the presidency. So what's new under the sun? I'll be right back.
Savage.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. We're talking about all the topics of the day. It'll be all the news of the day because, frankly, I think I've said everything I want to say about my situation in Cambridge, them canceling me and not the event. It's a big news story. It's put egg on their face. Doesn't make me happy to say it. I've always admired the English people. I think that the country has fallen into disrepair to an extent I don't even know if the conservatives who will soon take power can save the country. In fact, I heard today that they're not much different than the socialist liberals, almost identical story to what's going on here in America, where the Republicans are really Democrat-light. There's not much difference between the two parties, is there, as you could see. So we can talk about that and all the other news of the day, and there's an awful lot of news of the day. Trust me, it's endless what Obama's doing to this country. He's dismantling every aspect of this country is being dismantled. Let's start at the top. There's a character named Sunstein whose name belies the darkness in his soul. Sunstein is Darkness-stein. Sunstein is an outright socialist/communist who has been made regulatory czar of the United States of America. Sunstein actually said that the reason white people do not want various bills passed is because they're racist. Sunstein, who is a white liberal, says that the only reason people are opposed to Obamacare is because it will benefit black people and Hispanic people more than white people. Now, if that's not the most racist thing you've ever heard in your life, I'd like to know what is. But remember who it's coming from. It's not coming from a Reverend Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. It's coming from a white communist. And I've told you for years that the white communists use black people and Hispanic people and other minorities specifically to advance the communist agenda. I've said that from day one. Now, it would be bad enough if they were only inside the ACLU, which is a criminal organization as far as I'm concerned. The ACLU, if there was a real conservative American government, would investigate the ACLU and see where their money came from. But they're not going to be investigated. They're running this country. They put half the regulatory czars in their positions. They've come through the ACLU gatekeepers. The fact of the matter is, Sunstein is an outright socialist/communist. If you read his books from 05, 06, 07, and his papers, he's now in the White House, not in a low-level position, but in a major league position as regulatory czar. So I want to talk about these things as well, believe me. according to the writer Chelsea Schilling on WorldNet Daily. Ice melt on the world's coldest continent was the lowest, meaning the amount of ice that was melting was the lowest in 30 years last year, according to new research. Where was it published? In the Journal of Geophysical Research Letters. It was not published in the Huffington Post. They only publish lies and rubbish put out by the Hague. The Hague publishes lies. The Washington Hague, who got her name by marrying into money. The Hague, who married into the name. The Hague publishes lies. But the truth is published in the scientific journals. Journal of Geophysical Research Letters, published by a research scientist at the Joint Center for Earth Systems Technology, cooperatively managed by NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. So the top of the heap says that a 30-year minimum Antarctic snowmelt record occurred during Austral Summer 2008-09, meaning the ice stopped melting. Did you hear this? How come Al Gore will not look at this, at the graph? The graph goes back to 1980, and it shows the amount of melting of the ice pack in the Antarctic. Instead, they scare your children. They show polar bears adrift on an ice floe. They tell your child the polar bears are dying because of mean white Republicans. They're brainwashing your children. And now you understand what the truth is and why real debate is dying in the United States of America. Why evil villains like Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, and that entire pack of villainous Democrats will not debate any subject whatsoever. They do everything in the darkness hidden under a rock.
Well, let me say a couple of things. One is that it is pretty obvious that Bill O'Reilly has shifted gears greatly on the matter of Barack Hussein Obama. Number two, it appears that Sean Hannity also has shifted gears on the whole matter of Barack Hussein Obama. You can very easily rationalize and say, well, they're going after other issues. Well, okay, they very well may be, but you and I know that nothing is as critical, nothing will be able to bring truth to America about Barack Hussein Obama other than his birth certificate. I would like to say that O'Reilly and Hannity and Glenn Beck have sold out. With them, it's just business. It's pure business. And with Glenn Beck, it is pure entertainment. I mean, this fella is into the entertainment aspect of the political genre of news today. Hey, Hannity, why don't you have Michael Savage on? Just once a year, just one time a year. Just have Michael Savage on one time a year. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because that's not what they want. They don't want the truth out there. They can't handle the truth. They don't want it out there.
Well, Pastor, yeah, all right. Professor David Manning, Pastor David Manning, thank you very much. That's from his YouTube piece, and he runs a church up in Harlem. It's funny, it goes all the way back to my early days, which I might, for those of you long-time listeners, I told you when I was a young guy trying to find my way, I did a lot of crazy things, and I followed a lot of odd, interesting, crazy people sometimes to see what it was all about. I remember I saw a street preacher down in the West, in the village, called Brother Billy. He was just on a soapbox, but the man was so wrapped up. He was a white guy, and he was hollering, he was screaming. And, you know, a small crowd gathered in Washington Square Park, and I was one of the crowd. Well, he and I struck up a conversation, Brother Billy and I. Before I knew it, I was speeding north on 3rd Avenue in my old green Hornet, my little green Volkswagen, little 4-on-the-floor Volkswagen before I left New York for good. And we went up to his storefront church. Actually, it wasn't his, to a storefront church in Harlem. And he said to me the way, you want to see religion? You want to see religion? I'll take you to where religion is. You want to see God? I'll take you where you'll see God. You'll feel God. Well, I enjoyed going up there. And I tell you, when I walked into that, it was probably a black Abyssinian church. The people were just hollering, and they were singing. It was so heartfelt that the floors themselves were moving. I said, this is the closest I have come to real worship in my entire life. I've been in synagogues. I've been in churches. I mean, I've gone to St. Patrick's Cathedral on a Christmas Eve to see like the highest of the high. I wanted to see a great service. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was stunningly beautiful, but it wasn't moving. It was awe-inspiring, but not moving. This little storefront was moving. And so as I say, here I am much older than I was then, and this fellow, Pastor Manning, sounds to me like the real McCoy. And, one of these days, if I ever get to New York, I'm going to make a point of trying to go up there and see how the Italian food is in the neighborhood. I hear they have the best veal in the city around there.